Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. For anybody new here, my name is Zion and we talk about all things money. This is your second stimulus check update today for June 27th, and we're going to cover the following topics today. We're going to talk a bit about cases and how that's going on and how that's affecting the economy, and then we're going to tie that into how the stock market's actually doing, and then we're going to wrap all of that up and kind of give some explanation as to what's going on with the economy and how that will affect the second stimulus check. So this sounds like something you're interested in, go ahead and hit the subscribe button down below because there's going to be a lot more content like this, but give this video a big thumbs up. Please guys, if you watch this video, even if you don't watch it all the way through, just hit the thumbs up button because it really helps this video. And lastly, don't forget to leave a comment down below. If you haven't gotten your stimulus check, then let me know. Also, if you have any questions and you want me to answer those questions, let me know and I'll answer them in my next video. And then lastly, let me know how things are looking in your state, if things have opened back up, if people are wearing masks, etc. All right, guys, let's get to the video. So just a few days ago, we actually knew that cases have spiked and we've had the highest recorded number in cases in a while with that 40,000. And we know that was largely due to Florida, California, New York, and in Texas. And so specifically, Florida has seen like an 80% increase in cases since opening back up. As of yesterday, they were reporting 396,474 cases. And also, the United States number has risen once again. As of yesterday, we've had 2,436,387 million cases. And the CDC actually expects that roughly 25 million Americans probably have cases and just haven't been tested and they're not reported. So cases are rising like crazy, and we know that just a few weeks ago, a lot of governors were saying that they were not going to slow down reopening even if cases were rising. But just yesterday, the Texas governor has actually come out and said that he's going to slow down reopening. So things such as bars and restaurants are really slowing down and opening because he can clearly see that things are kind of going out of hand. And so in response to this, the stock market has actually fell. So as of the stock market closed yesterday, the Dow Jones dropped 700 points and the S&P 500 actually fell 2.7%. So as we're already kind of seeing that the stock market is reacting, a lot of investors are reacting by selling their stocks because a lot of people are really nervous about a second wave, and not just a second wave, us actually dipping into a recession. And so I think all of this just kind of goes to show that the way in which our economy is right now is not extremely strong. A lot of the numbers and data that we have been seeing, a lot of it is largely due to stimulus money that the overall sector and the overall economy got from the first CARES package. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about retail sales because we saw a plummet in retail sales in April, and in May we saw a huge increase in retail sales. And so I want to talk a little bit about why this was, I believe, and also why it's so retail. People are always talking about retail. So starting off, the Wall Street Journal actually had a really interesting video that I watched, and they talked about how retail sales is really connected to like the manufacturing sectors. So when we as consumers go out and we purchase whatever in retail, like when we go to the mall, for example, it then causes the retail to have to go and order more products, and so manufacturing then go and they buy more like raw good materials to actually supply. It's all like this whole idea of the supply chain, and that's why we want to have such a focus. A lot of the governors, a lot of the Senate and the president wants to put more of a focus on manufacturing because manufacturing really did take a hit throughout this entire period that we've been going through. But that's why we always look at retail spending and see how much consumers are spending, and it's kind of also an indicator to see how well the economy is doing. But it's a little misleading in this instance because we did pump so much money into small businesses from the first stimulus package, but also too with like the extra PPP loans. And as a result, a lot of retail stores are able to kind of keep afloat and pay their employees. And also we saw with the unemployment numbers, even the data was kind of skewed the first time that came around because we weren't including people who were furloughed. And so some of these people were able to get their jobs back in just overall like restaurants and even in like clothing shops. But the concern is the reason why they were able to is because small businesses got this loan. And so if we take away, like, how long will that loan money last, A, but also B, if we don't get another stimulus package up and running soon, we're not really sure what's gonna actually happen to the overall sector. So I think that all of those ideas that I just spoke about all lead to the fact that we're going to get another stimulus check, and there's definitely going to be another stimulus package without a doubt. You know, I talked a little bit yesterday that, and before that, President Trump has actually come out in numerous interviews saying that there's going to be another stimulus package and then there'll be another stimulus check and then it'll be generous or whatnot. But I think that we have to be really realistic to note who is actually going to get this second stimulus check. So even if a second stimulus check is issued, who is going to get the stimulus check? And economic advisor Larry Kudlow actually stated that they wanted to focus in on people who are low income and also people who lost their jobs. And so if you remember, yesterday I spoke about a senator saying that he wasn't in favor of another stimulus check because he felt as though people who didn't lose their income got their first stimulus check. So he was talking about people on like government benefits such as Social Security benefits, SSI, SSDI, but also too, there's been quite a few economists who think this way. So if you guys recall from the first stimulus check, in order to qualify for it, there were just different qualifications, but one was as a single filer, you had to make less than $99,000 a year. And if you made above $75,000, so between $75,000 and like $98,500, $98,500, then the amount of stimulus you got did drop by about like $5, I believe, depending on like how much you made as you went up that income ladder. But on a whole, you got some sort of stimulus money if you made less than $99,000 a single filer. Now, some people would argue, people who have incomes of like $85,000 a year, maybe they don't necessarily need the stimulus check, right? Some people would argue that. But then other people would argue that people on like Social Security benefits don't necessarily need a stimulus check because they are getting, I guess, government benefits already. But I just want to note that while that could be true, so while there are quite a few people making $85,000 a year, there are people who are making that money, who are even making more money, and they're still in a whirlwind of debt. They don't really manage their money correctly, or not even that. Like, these are hard times. Like, we don't really know if that single filer is actually really helping out another family member who is really down and out right now. So you can't really judge someone's need for stimulus money based solely off of how much money they're making. And that goes the same for married couples. So if you're actually filing jointly, the income limit was $198,000 to actually get that first stimulus check. Moving on, I actually wanted to talk about a professor who was a professor at my my college that just graduated from Brown University, and so he's actually been really tracking the overall like stimulus checks and how it's impacted the economy. And what he found out was that people who are lower income people, the checks did really help them to purchase groceries and to purchase like other like necessities and pay bills or whatnot. But he said that those checks actually didn't help with like jobs, like job creation, and for people who got laid off to actually have a job to go back to, because people who were rich actually pulled back on spending, and as a result they didn't spend in like certain jobs that like lower income people might have, such as, you know, I guess like takeout or restaurant or whatnot. And so as a result, basically what his conclusion was is that we shouldn't be giving stimulus money to the rich. And so I know, once again, I would say that I think that a lot of times economists just look solely at the numbers. They look solely at the deficit, which is a big problem, and you have to look at that. But I think in the overall field of economics, something that I think collectively people need to do a better job on is understanding different factors. Like, yes, the numbers are presenting this, but it's more than just numbers. Like, you need to also look at like the social implications of like race and gender per se.